Okay, just to be clear, I do not do movie reviews on this channel. I just play video games and just vlog sometimes, occasionally, once every month. But I just gotta say this. The Witch is probably the most terrifying, yet one of the best films I've ever seen. It's because, to me, a good horror film isn't terribly easy to create. Sure, you can make audiences jump with loud noises or the sudden appearance of a character, or you can make them long to find out the rest of the mythology behind a particular bad guy, book, object of questionable mystic qualities before curiosity falls away once it's revealed. But it's tough to craft something in the genre that stays with people once they've left the theatre. With writer and director Robert Eggars' debut film The Witch, that rare, memorable and affecting horror film has arisen. Opting for dread and mood over jump scares or deep mythology, Eggars delivers a seriously terrifying and deeply unsettling New England folktale set in colonial America that is intensely disturbing and wholly unforgettable. Believe me when I say that for a fact. It's set in 1630 New England, a generation before the Salem witch trials. The film revolves around a small family that has been excommunicated from its plantation due to the father William's outspoken objections to what he sees as the community's lax religious principles. Fun facts for you here: the father is played by Ralph Ineson. In case you didn't know, he played Finchy in The Office. So the more you know. Da-da-da. William welcomes the chance to leave the plantation and practices strict adherence to the Lord on his own, moving the family to a remote cabin near the woods. Early in the story, daughter Thomason, played by new actor Anya Taylor-Joy, who's also verging on becoming a woman herself, is playing peekaboo with the family's baby near the tree line when all of a sudden she opens her eyes to see that the child is gone, with no trace of where he went. The audience is introduced to a cloaked figure running with the baby through the woods, the titular witch, and what happens next is kind of unspeakable. Suffice to say, Eggars conjures the film's physical antagonist in such a way that you're left both wanting to see more of her and never wanted to see the character ever again. What follows is the crux of the film's conflict. The family struggles with the disappearance of the child while attempting to maintain their faith to God in light of such a tragedy. Moreover, things keep getting worse and worse as the harvest of corn goes bust, and without safety of the plantation, the family is in danger of starving to death during the winter. The faith of the individual family members, which also includes Mother Catherine, played by Kate Dickey, preteen son Caleb, played by Harvey Grimshaw, and the two young rambunctious twins Jonas and Mercy, played by Lucas Dawson and Ellie Granger. Alternatively, wavers and stays strong with the question of original sin, the afterlife faith of the young baby, and whether they themselves have been redeemed in the eyes of God. Is it possible to go to heaven if you sinned? Can we know for sure that God forgives? What does it mean to invite sin into your life? And what do those consequences look like? Those questions are pondered by the individuals of family, namely Thomason, William, and Caleb, and begin to weigh their hearts, turning their attention and doubt on each other. Someone must be to blame for the poor fortune, and if not God, then it's surely one of them. And throughout all of this, there's the encroaching dread of the witch, which the family may or may not believe exists. Instead of crafting a villain whose face the audience comes to see as a familiar and iconic, Eggars knows that the true power in which this kind of film is what you don't show. The audience is constantly left in question of just exactly what the witch looks like, and at the same time the brief glances we do get are absolutely spine-chilling. This tease of just enough but not too much is executed to perfection, which not only increases the tension surrounding the witch herself, but keeps the story's main focus on the family, much like the Babadook. The key to The Witch is that Eggars deals in dread, not scares, aided by a striking score by Mark Corvin that owes a depth to Stanley Kubrick's The Shining. The audience is constantly watching in trepidation. I think that's what it's called, trepidation. Not sure what the film will go next. Jaron I hope I got that name right. Jaron Black's bleak yet hauntingly beautiful cinematography adds yet another layer to the film's atmosphere, fully engrossing the audience into a secluded colonial setting. And the performances, especially young Taylor-Joy, are quite effective, setting the sense of isolation, regret, and deep-seated tension amongst one another. The movie does deflate a little bit in the middle section, which drags a tad as dread gives way to despair in the inner turmoil of the remaining family becomes somewhat monotonous. For a moment, it seems like The Witch is poised to switch its focus on becoming a sort of prequel to the Salem witch trials, but then Eggers delivers a third act that quite simply scared the living shit out of me, and will be ingrained to my mind for a long time. Brain, meet the nightmare fuel. While the other horror genre has never really lost its prevalence over the years, it feels like a lot of these scary movies these days are simply going through the motions, offering up the cinematic equivalent to junk food. It may taste good in the moment, but it's not necessarily fulfilling or all that memorable. The Witch is not only an incredibly well-crafted horror film, it's a phenomenal movie, period. Eggers announces himself as a talented filmmaker to watch with a knack of blending genre elements with larger, more thoughtful questions, which in case of The Witch considers sin and inherent goodness, that the film will most likely find you wanting to watch with one hand covering your face is just a bonus. This film, for me alone, is probably the most terrifying movies I've seen to date, with phenomenal actors, phenomenal cinematography, and phenomenal moments. And I will not spoil the ending, but the ending alone is absolutely phenomenal. And the first and third act are beyond fantastic. And like I said, the midsection does drag a bit, but that's just a little nitpick. For me, The Witch is one of the best films I've ever seen. And if I did like a Chris Duckman rating, I would give this movie an A+. Guys, this movie is beyond fantastic. I recommend you guys checking it out, because if you're into films that don't contain jump scares, then this film is especially for you. This film is for true horror fans.